Hello everyone, welcome back. So you can see I'm playing Destiny 2 again, and today is a very exciting event. I'm playing on the reset right now on Tuesday. Video probably won't come out until Wednesday because I'm going to be grinding a lot today. But anyway, if you saw last week, they are doubling the rewards for Nightfall Ordeal, which is the Lake of Shadows, which is the absolute perfect one for this to land on. As you can see, I've only done about 4 or 5 so far, and I have 7 Ascendant Shards, and I have 8 Enhancement Prisms. I did have more. I had almost 50, but I was converting them over to Ascendant Shards. So in actual drops, I got about 4 Ascendant Shards from actual drops, and then I got up to 48 Enhancement Prisms. So I broke down some of those into Ascendant Shards, as you can see. But anyway, moving on from there, I will be showing you the build that I'm using, and I'm going to be running through the entire thing just to kind of give you some tips if you haven't played it yet. So I'll show you here, for the Unstoppables, I use a hand cannon. I was using a pulse rifle, but, I'm not a big fan of that. The damage was not great, and you're going to need a lot of damage, and also a lot of range as well. So this helps in both those aspects. Show you my weapon perks here. These ones are not very important. These last two are the main ones. Aiming this weapon increases its effective range and zoom magnification, increased projectile velocity while aiming rocket launchers and grenade launchers. Not very important, but that first part is absolutely important. You are going to want range on this baby. And then over here, I have time payload. Projectiles attached to enemies explode after a short delay. Very good, especially for dealing high damage very quickly. And you also don't have to be super accurate. And as you can see down here, the impact on this gun is absolutely insane, and the range is right behind it. So, very good gun for taking down the champions on this one. And then obviously you'll want Unstoppable Hand Cannon, and then over here I have range. So, very, very good gun for this mode. And then down here, you're going to want an arc weapon as well, in the secondary slot, for obvious reasons, because there are a lot of very annoying arc shields, and match game is turned on, so you're going to need to match the elements, or else you're basically just not going to do any damage. If you try to use a non-elemental or an element that doesn't match, enjoy that. It is not fun. But see here, the weapon perks, I have Quick Draw, can be drawn unbelievably fast, which is very good. And then you have Explosive Head, which they explode after a short delay. So as you can see, I like the explosives. And then down here, I have Draw Time. So that is incredibly good for disrupting champions, and then also you're going to need a ranged weapon for taking out snipers. So I know there's a couple different options, like you can use a sidearm to disrupt as well, but I went for damage and range, because you are very much going to need them, as I will show you very, very soon. And I would say this one is the best one you can use. Now, Divinity is also good, but Divinity will take out this slot, which I don't like. So I usually just use Arsenic Bite here. It is a very, very good bow, and you will definitely need a bow for this one. And then down here, I have Xenophage, which is incredible for popping solar shields. As you can see, the impact is fully maxed out, and the range is very high as well. So, incredibly good gun. If you don't have it, I would highly recommend getting it. You do have to do an exotic quest to get it, but it's not super hard, and you can pretty much do the whole thing by yourself if you're good enough. There is an annoying part at the end where you kind of have to do a glitch, but you can do it the normal way, it's just a lot harder. So if the glitch is still active, you can do that. I would recommend that if it's still available. And then for my subclass up here, I'm a Void Walker, obviously. As you can see, I'm a Warlock. And then I have Attunement of Hunger, because the health in the Vortex on the Nova Bomb is incredibly good. And you're going to need some health in this one, because you get burned down fast. And the reason I do it this way, the Void on the subclass, there are not a lot of Void shields in this one. The only ones with Void shields are the Taken Wizards, and you run into maybe 3 of those in the entire time. So Void is not incredibly important. However, there is a ton of Arc, and there is a ton of Solar, so you are going to need both of these. That's why I always put the least important one on the subclass. And then for my gear, I'm using Nezarec Sin, which is good for Void ability kills. They increase ability regen. You should usually pair that with a weapon, but in this one you're going to need all 3 elements, so even just the little bit you get back from using your melee ability or your grenade is good enough, and obviously your Nova Bomb as well. Even though mostly you will be saving that for bosses, so you're not really going to get many kills off of it. And then for the mods, I have Enhanced Scatter Projectile Targeting. I would have liked Precision, but, it doesn't fit in there with Heavy Ammo Finder, which you're absolutely going to need Heavy Ammo Finder for your Xenophage. And then also for Xenophage, Enhanced Scatter Projectile works for it, because it's still a machine gun, even though it doesn't really fire like a typical machine gun. And then for the gloves, I have Hand Cannon Loader and Fastball, and then just that Shield Break Charge. I've never found out how to use that. I can't get the charge with light to work properly, so not important. I just put it there just because there's a slot available. But Hand Cannon Loader is very good for taking out the Unstoppables, and then Fastball is good for using the grenade with Oppressive Darkness, as I'll get down to the bottom and show you. You can get increased range on that, so it's very good. And then over here I have Unflinching Rifle Aim, which is really only good for Xenophage, and then Large Arm Reserves, obviously for Xenophage as well. You can also do primary weapons, like if you want extra bow and hand cannon ammo, but as long as you're not doing the solo, I haven't found that to be an issue. Then down here I have Traction, obviously, Primary Ammo Scavenger, which obviously helps out a little bit with the 2 primaries. And then down here I have Better Already, which is when you pick up a Orb of Light, you start regenerating health immediately, and then Oppressive Darkness is the one where Void Grenades apply the weakness effect, which is incredibly good for bosses. And this boss in particular, you can kill in about 5 seconds, and I am not exaggerating on that, as you'll see very soon. But yeah, so these are the setups here. This is just what I use. You can use a little bit differently, but I would highly recommend using a hand cannon and a bow for this, and Xenophage if you have it. And if you're not good with either of these, I would just practice, because this is a very tough one to do if you want to go in close range. A lot of it's just going to be standing back and sniping and then moving in and basically just repeating that cycle the entire time. So I'll go ahead and show you this. I will be using the Destiny Party Finder, the Fireteam Finder actually. So you can do this with friends or clanmates or whatever. You can try to do it solo, but it'll take you a ton longer. It'll probably take you about 30 minutes to do. And unless you're one of like the top tier players, you're probably not going to do it solo. So I would just suggest finding somebody to play with. And if you would like to easily search, what I usually do is Nightfall Ordeal Master, Ascendant Shard Farm, B 1070 plus light. Obviously you're going to have to shorten some of those words because for whatever reason you can't type out a long party name, which I don't really understand why. It doesn't really take up any extra space. They can just put it below it. It's in the same bubble, it doesn't matter. But either way, that's what I would put to find a party. And usually it's relatively fast. I'm going to edit past this obviously, but it'll still be relatively quick. Actually, no editing needed. I already have a party, so that is actually, I'm just going to leave that in, because that just shows you how fast it is. And I'm sending the invites now, so as you can see, there's one person right there, and the next one should be joining very, very soon. But yeah, that just shows you how quick the Fireteam search is sometimes. Now, obviously, certain things that people don't really play that often might take you a little bit longer. There we go, full party. And mics are not really necessary on this. If you're trying Grandmaster, you can, but typically I would just go in without any mics. And I usually like to give it a little bit, just in case they need to move some gear around. Now, I do highly suggest if you're joining people online, have your gear ready. I can't tell you how annoying it is when you're trying to do Trials of Osiris or just Nightfalls in general, and people are like, whoa, go back to orbit, I need to turn on my mods. It's like, dude, you should have had that ready way before this moment. So I usually give them a little bit of time here and then start it. And hopefully everybody's ready, so I don't have to go back or anything. It's especially annoying for Trials because you have to go back to Tower, and when I'm already in orbit, I'm not going back to Tower. And it's already kind of implied that you should be in orbit, so everyone should already have their gear ready, because the Fireteam invites, they say you should be in orbit when you send them. So if you're using the Fireteam search, just go ahead and assume right off the bat, be ready. So I cannot stress that enough, how annoying it is when people are not ready. Also, I hope this works out well because I'm recording with a kind of new setup. I'm using the same capture device, but I just recently got a 4K TV, so I can finally do HDR gaming and 4K gaming, obviously. So I'm running it in 4K as I'm playing it with HDR, but it's still recording at 1080p, which is also different because normally I record at 720, but I feel like going from 4K to 720 would probably not look that great. So who knows what happens with the compression, but either way, I'm going to try 1080. 1080 is double the size of 720, unfortunately, for recording, so it is very annoying to record that way, but with 4K and 8K around the corner, I figure I should just go ahead and make the jump. And I have Handbrake, which can compress videos anyway, so it's just a little extra effort, but if it makes the videos look better, I don't care. But yeah, this is why I use Arc and Long Range, by the way, because as you can see, the Taken Captains over there are using Arc Shields, and this is incredibly bad if you don't have Arc Shields. I tried playing a game once where I was the only one with Unstoppable and Disruptor, and then also the weapons that actually matched, and it was awful. This part alone took about 10 minutes, which, as you can see, is very, very slow compared to how it should be. And I'm going to go take out some of these Scions over here, because, as you can see, what they just did, they keep splitting, and it's very annoying. And I don't know what their limit is. I've played this game since launch, but I still have not looked into how many times they can split. Either way, I know it is incredibly annoying, so I try to kill them as quickly as possible. But yeah, as you can see, we are already a minute 30 in, and pretty good progress so far. This is your first hurdle. If you start to do bad on this part, you are going to do bad the rest of the way. So just keep that in mind. This is the This is the official separator to see how well your fire team's going to do. And as you can see down there, this guy has a disruptor on, which is why you can use a sidearm technically, but I found it to be very difficult. What I would have to do is just bum rush this guy up there and just unload a bunch of disruptor shots. But this way, it's a little more time consuming, as you can see, but very, very useful. You just keep unloading arrows. Now, the one thing that's annoying about pretty much all of them, except for the barrier one, I found no issues with that. But with Disruptor and Unstoppable, I find that sometimes it just doesn't trigger. Like, you can see with how many times I've hit this guy, and yeah, now he disrupts. But I don't know if there's a delay that you just don't know about, or if there's some kind of thing going on behind the scenes, but sometimes it just will not trigger, even if it's your first shot and you haven't shot him recently. So it makes me think it's not a cooldown issue and there's just something else going on. And I heard some people say it's a delayed reaction, like sometimes it'll come a little late, but sometimes it just doesn't come at all. And you see, this is why I use Oppressive Darkness here, because you can just melt this guy very fast. And if you're watching it and saying, that doesn't look very fast, oh, trust me, it is. These guys have a lot of health. Switch over to Xenophage for a second. I usually don't like to waste Xenophage shots, because the solar opponents that come later are incredibly hard to take out without Xenophage. But if you're at max ammo, you can use a couple shots, just don't go crazy. And I hope I don't die here. There we go. Yeah, these guys are incredibly annoying, especially when you have a teammate down. So we're having to take all the brunt of the action ourselves here. Wow, alright. So that just completely laid me out. Yeah, by the way, the environmental damage and things that, you know, like come out of the wall, basically like the Phalanx Shield, it also applies to the Phalanx Shield as well, but it increases the range and damage, as you can see down here. Where is it at? Yeah, incoming environmental damage increased, knockback damage and distance is increased. So that applies to the Phalanx as well. It's incredibly annoying. As you saw there, he got me at a range that he definitely should not have been able to. But it's one of those things you just have to keep in mind. Now this part here is going to take you a little bit longer. Obviously you have 2 Disruptors and 2 Unstoppables back to back. So, as I mentioned, that's where it's going to start to ramp up a bit. It's definitely not the hardest part. The hardest part is coming up after the first water processing plant, when you go into the outdoor section. That is where you really tell if your fire team's good or not. Yeah, see like this, another time where he is far away, so it is good to have specifically this bow. I mean, you can use any bow. There's like Hush, there's Subtle Calamity, but Hush is a solar and then Subtle Calamity is void. So with the current setup I have, it wouldn't really make any sense. But this one is the one that I love to use. The Arsenic Bite is incredibly good. As you can see here, wow, he jumped right in front of that goblin. But yeah, I would suggest taking out the goblins first. They're incredibly annoying, and they'll cover up the captain, which is obviously not good. So the fact that I have explosives on here makes this a little bit easier. When they get all bunched up, you can just clear them out pretty expediently. Alright, I'm going to try to find a shield to pop. Oh, there we go. Boom! Look at that. Shield is gone. That is why Xenophage is incredibly good. And I don't want to take the time to give you context, but if you tried that with any other gun, you would probably waste the entire magazine to take out that shield. But look at that. Just there it went. Obviously, if you're matching, it'll be fine, but I could use the other one. I can't remember the name of it right now, but there's a machine gun that basically can do the same thing, where it's a solar machine gun. But Xenophage is just incredibly good, and the range on it is insane. It has like the range of a sniper rifle. Now, the one thing about Xenophage is you can't get precision hits with it, because it's an explosive round. So, while it is incredibly high damage, you basically just go for body shots, which in one way is really good, because you don't have to be that incredibly accurate. It's not like Whisper of the Worm, which I would recommend not using Whisper of the Worm for this. It's obviously good for damage, but if you're just busting shields, it takes maybe 2 to 3 shots, depending on what shield you're trying to break. So Xenophage is way, way better. Obviously, it has very good precision damage, but aside from that, it's just not great. And I'm going to break this guy's shield here, and then I'm going to lob a Nova Bomb, because these guys are incredibly annoying. And this is another part that teams will die on if they're not careful. See, that is also why Attunement of Hunger is good, because I just got some health back. And now every kill that I get, I extend Devour, and then I also get healed for each kill. So as you can see, it is very good for staying alive. And I'm going to try to revive them, but I'm going to pop this guy first. There we go. Hoop, hoop, hoop. Yeah, these 2 Disruptors back-to-back are incredibly annoying. They just fire a constant stream of bullets. So I would just recommend going one at a time on them. Hit him with one of these bad boys. Weaken him a bit. Yeah, Oppressive Darkness is probably one of the best mods you can have regardless of what strike you're on. So typically I like to have Void as the subclass. But if there's one where there's just a ton of Void shields, it just makes it... he just Nova Bombed that wall, I think. Or Void Grenaded. Either way, that was a very bad move there. But yeah, time-wise, being at 7 minutes on this part, it's not so bad. It could be a lot faster, but we've obviously been dying a couple times. And it's not an incredibly difficult strike. The tier cap is pretty high as far as being skilled at the game, so it's not going to be an easy run if you're not that good at the game. But it basically just takes a few practice runs. I would recommend just doing matchmaking first, just playing on hero, because obviously the light level is a lot lower to get in, and then it lets you know the layout, and from hero you actually know what the shields you need to bust are. So if you're playing a strike for the first time and you want to know if you're going to need to focus on solar, arc, or void, just run through the first time on hero just to get a good layout. And it also spawn the champions that spawn as well, so you'll know where they spawn, you'll know what weapons work well on them. Now the one thing that doesn't apply to the underlevels is the match game, which can make things a lot harder. Because without match game, Xenophage could just break any shield regardless of typing. That is not the case on this. Now granted, it is very good at breaking shields, but I mean, it would probably take 4 to 5 Xenophages to break like a void shield. But as you can see right there, just bust it immediately. And then to show you an even crazier example here, I'm going to bust this mini-boss's shields, just like that. I'm going to pop him with this thing. Yeah, for a hand cannon, this actually has incredibly good range on it. I'll try to show you some examples, but most of the time you're just going to be using the bow, especially on this part. You'll see the way that I play it. You can play it a different way, like my team usually rushes to the left, which you're going to want people to do that anyway. But you don't need everybody to rush to the left. In fact, it's better just to have somebody to stand by and take down the Vandals, because the Vandals can be incredibly annoying on this. And they're not super hard to kill, maybe 2 bow shots, but they are very disruptive. So if you don't kill them right away, they're just really annoying to take out. Try to break this guy. There we go. He was getting a little too close there. I would also, if you're in close range, recommend using finishers quite a bit, because it can save you some ammo and it also is an instant kill. So if you just don't want to shoot, or if you want to kill a guy quickly, and typically you have invincibility frames when that animation is playing, so that part is pretty good as well. But yeah, I'll show you here. I usually try to take these guys out first, just so I don't have to keep worrying about being knocked back or throwing annoying grenades or just hitting me with chip damage. That guy got a bow to his back. But yeah, these guys you want to take out immediately. So there's that Vandal. Those guys are a little too far away, so I'm just going to do the Scions first. Yeah, see this part, I just like to stand here and just kill as many as I can. Try to be accurate. There we go. And this guy, sometimes I'll snipe him from here, but typically I like to get up to the top there. If that guy jumps up there, I'll just stay back here and keep disrupting him. And he looks like he might be... No, he's not. Maybe the other guy. Yeah, he looks like he's going for him. Yeah, this guy is not that good. He just keeps rushing in. Yeah, this is what you want to do. It's kind of tedious and a little bit annoying, but it's better than dying and having to restart this whole section. I'm going to try to aim for headshots just to speed this up a bit. Yeah. Yeah, disruptors are incredibly annoying. If you stop dealing damage to them, they just go back to full health. So you want to keep doing this as often as possible. I don't think Unstoppables do that. It's something that really only applies to the barrier and disruptors. The barrier one, obviously, if they get the barrier and you don't pierce it immediately, or at the very least, you need to be dealing damage to it. But if you don't do that, they'll immediately start healing, which is very annoying to deal with. Speaking of annoying to deal with are these Vandals. So I'm going to take these guys out really quickly, which is also the reason why you'll want Explosive Head, because when they clump up like that, it's good to get multiple shots in. And I need to get better accuracy here. There we go. Need to find some primary ammo as well. Don't know where any would be at this current moment, but I'll just run through this section. Now here, if everyone is doing their job properly, you can do this crazy move that I'm about to do. So we'll see if we can do this properly. Yep. Yeah. And now you just stand back and wait for them to fall off the cliff. There they go. Oh, it's satisfying every time I do it. But yeah, if you have Nova Bomb and you jump around the corner like that, aim for about right there, and they'll almost always fall off every single time, just because the constant damage will keep making them back up, and it'll just walk them right off the cliff. And as you saw there, it counts as a kill, so you don't need to break their shields or disrupt them or anything. You just walk them backwards. And I'm going to switch over to Xenophage for this guy, just to deal some extra damage. As you can see, Xenophage is an incredible tank buster. It's one of my favorite guns in the game, which is why typically I like to reserve the power slot for your exotic. So like you see this guy's using Divinity over here. It's a good gun, but I usually, in that case, I would have to get rid of Xenophage. And as I've said many, many times, that is something I don't want to do. Yeah, you can see right now we're at 12 minutes. A little bit slow. You'll want to be at 10 minutes on this part, but it's not incredibly important. And now it's a good thing I still have hand cannon ammo for this part, because this guy... This is probably the second most annoying part of the entire thing, and you'll see why very, very soon. Not only does this guy have some goblins protecting him, which is kind of annoying, you'll want to break those as fast as possible. But this next spot here, there are 2 Taken Knights, and they just fire a constant wave of fire at you. And it can be incredibly annoying if you don't take them out quickly enough, especially if somebody doesn't have, like, Xenophage, for instance, which can deal incredibly good long-range solar damage. So take that guy out. And then the other annoying aspect... Okay, good, he's not covered. But the other annoying aspect is that there's a goblin up there, and sometimes he will cover that Taken Knight in his stupid invincibility shield. So you'll be trying to shoot him with the Xenophage, and nothing will apply, and I hate the knockback on this one. If this one wasn't so good for farming, I would never play it. But it is incredibly annoying at times, even with how good it is. Okay, I'm just going to revive this guy. Yep, I knew the fire was coming. And I'm trying to get... Okay, thank God. Yeah, as I mentioned, this is just incredibly annoying. As you can see how much damage they can deal to you incredibly fast. I'm going to switch over to Xenophage really quickly. Hit him with some weaken there. And I'm going to pop in just some annoying shots there. Yep. Oh, he is not disrupted. Oh, please do not die. I will freak out if you die. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of annoyance. Okay, that's good. But yeah, you basically have to be a little bit aggressive, because you need to line up a shot to either disrupt or take out the Taken. But as you saw there, they can deal incredible damage to you incredibly fast. And I'm going to fire a few more of these, just because we're pretty much at the end of it. So you're not really going to need too much Xenophage ammo. There's really maybe 2 more solar shields in the entire thing. There's another Taken Knight around the corner here that you'll see very, very soon. And hopefully he's not being goblined. Okay, good. There we go, shield is gone. But yeah, you'll have this guy, and then you'll have the one right before the boss. There's a guy under the bubble who also has a solar shield, but aside from those 2 there, you're pretty much done with the solar. So if you want, you can use Xenophage a little more here. I wouldn't really recommend it, because I would like to save at least a full magazine for the boss. Yeah. Because typically the boss will die in 5 seconds, without exaggeration, as I mentioned earlier. And then this is the last Void Shield coming up here. So what I like to do, if I don't have any grenades, I'll just melee him until it drops. But yeah, a grenade and a melee like that, very good. So he is dead. Yeah, as you see, a lot of people like to use the... It's like the Executioner's Blade or whatever. I can't remember the name of it right now. But it's the new one. It's that big, like, Zabuza sword. And this guy, there are 3 more champions left. There's a disruptor up here, there's a disruptor down the hallway, and then there's a disruptor up the hallway. And then after that, you are completely done with champions. But if you didn't know, you should kill every champion you come across, because it increases your rewards at the end. And obviously with double rewards, you are going to want that. So he is down. This part is also kind of annoying, so I would just spray explosives into the room like I'm doing right now. Because there's some goblins in there that fire down the invincibility ray, like you see that one doing. So yeah, accuracy doesn't really matter. I wouldn't waste a grenade, because you're going to want the grenade. If you have Oppressive Darkness, you're going to want to save that for the boss, as I will show you in a second here. Here's the final 2 disruptors. Take this guy out. Yeah, if you have 2 Nova Bombs, you pretty much just melt the guy in 1 second. But typically you really only need 1 Nova Bomb and 1 Weakening Grenade. And it is insane how quickly he dies. That's why this one is such a good farmable one, because the boss dies just instantly from even the slightest bit of damage. Obviously, you have to have levels that match, so if you're like a 1050 or 1040, probably won't do that much damage on him. But if you're 1070, 1080, if you're insane and you somehow got to 1090 at this point, you'll destroy him pretty quickly. Which I have people, I think I've seen somebody up to 1087, and that was the highest I saw. Now granted, my season rank is like 267, so I've played more than the typical person. But when I see people who've played even longer than that, I just don't know. Because it seems like to me that's an eternity, being up to season rank 267. So I don't know how people get up to like 1087 on their power. Because your gear maxes out at 1060. So that means that their artifact has been power leveled that far. Alright, here we go. That was... Why did he do that? That was terrible. Oh, I guess I'm going to kill myself then. Oh, you know what? Actually, the bubble kind of saved me there. Yeah, it looks a little chaotic, but I trust you to know that he is going to die. There he goes, and he is dead. Yeah, when you're standing that close, you can't really see his health bar, but just keep in mind that he is dying instantaneously. Yeah, the bubble was a bad choice. He shouldn't have done that. Typically, what you like to do when that happens is maybe a Well of Radiance would probably be better in that situation. Obviously, he's a Titan, so he can't do that. And as you see, 6 enhancement prisms, which is insane, because you need 10 of those to get an Ascendant Shard. So, even if you don't get an Ascendant Shard, you do 2 runs, and the enhancement prisms, by the way, are guaranteed drops. There is no chance that you will not get enhancement prisms by playing this. And I'm almost positive in saying that it's 6 every single time, which is incredibly good. And as you also saw there, I was able to... you know what? I already have 2 of these. I'm going to break that down. But as you saw there as well, I got a enhanced mod, which you can only get from pinnacle activities, which the Nightfall Strikes count as a pinnacle activity. And I will show you here, in the corner here, when it loads. I have quite a few of them that I got recently. Now, some of these back here are from Iron Banner. I got maybe 4 or 5 during Iron Banner, but these 4 right here are just from maybe 4 or 5 strikes. 6 now, including this one. But if you still don't have all of the enhanced mods, now is a good time to do so. But yeah, I'll show you over here, just to give you a little insight. See, now I'm up to 8 Ascendant Shards, and I have 14 Enhancement Prisms, which I will turn into another shard, which will be 9 Ascendant Shards. Now, if you're thinking, 8 shards, that doesn't sound like a lot. To give you context, this entire set right here, this right here is 1 shard each. So that's 4 to masterwork it, and then exotic armor is 3 shards each. So with the shards that I have now, I can fully masterwork a character, which, as you can see, my armor is already fully masterworked, so it doesn't really matter here. However, if you don't have any masterwork gear, you pretty much have to for all the late game activities. I'm going to go ahead and run a new one, because I'm going to continue grinding after this video. But yeah, just to explain a little bit about the Ascendant Shards and why they're incredibly important, is that is the only way you can masterwork your armor, and what masterworking your armor does is it gives 12 points to each piece of armor. So it does 2 points for each little class there, like mobility, resilience, recovery. So you get 2 points each, so it's 12 in total. And then 2 points on 5 pieces of armor is obviously 10 points for each little subsection here. So what that means is that when you masterwork a full set of gear, you get plus 10 points to all of these, which, as you know, increases it to the next level cap. Which is incredibly good because, as you can see here, moving up 1 tier raises your mobility by 4%, your shield strength by 2%, and then over here you get a 5% increase, and then for this you get an 8-second increase, or decrease technically. So as you can see, 1 point is enough to really change how your armor works. So I would recommend highly that you should farm this event. I would honestly say you should farm this until you have about 40 or 50 Ascendant Shards, because these are typically very annoying to grind. So when you have a double event like this, and specifically Lake of Shadows, I always like to farm out Lake of Shadows just because it's very good for this specific thing. But the fact that they're doubled right now is insane. I would capitalize on this while you can, especially with the new expansion coming out around the corner, the Beyond Light. Having 50 shards going in, you will be completely set. Any new exotic armor that drops, or even just legendary armor that you need 1 shard for, incredibly important that you farm now if you're invested in the game. And by the way, the double rewards apply for everything. So it's like double armor, double shards. The mods that drop, the enhanced mods that you just saw me get, you can get 2 of those in 1 run. So again, incredibly important. But anyway, that'll be it for now. Kind of a long video. I don't know what it'll be after editing, but it's a little over 30 minutes right now, so we will see. But I'm going to be back with more Destiny videos. I'm probably going to upload every other day, just to get back into the rhythm a little bit. It's been like a month since my last video. But yeah, I'm just going to keep farming here, and I'm going to show off the Traveler's Chosen coming up soon, and I never got to show off the Wither Horde with the ornament and the what do you call it, the catalyst. So I'll be back for those as well. This guy is very risky. I don't like how he plays. But yeah, anyway, I'm just going to continue farming. So hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.